Our next guest, Leon Etienne, the star magician from our area who's gone on to big things. Welcome to the show, Leon.
Glad to be here, guys. Thank you so much for having me. Good morning, everybody that's listening.
Good morning. You're off the 40 Days, 40 Nights tour, huh?
Yes.
We were just talking about your schedule and
Yes.
running around the world, maybe?
Yeah, absolutely. All over the place. What's funny is you ask me when I come home, and you know when I come home because I come here.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's the only time I'm home. And then I fly right back out on Friday morning.
So cruise ships and where else?
Casinos.
Yep.
We were just in Atlantic City, and then the week before that we did the Penn Teller show in Las Vegas at the Rio. And then I was in Boston over the weekend, so I'm all over the place.
And we must disclose this. You are home, and so is Romy. She is home.
Nope, Ramy's in
she's
actual home. Yes. Ramy's home in Australia on a much-deserved vacation to see her family, and also one of her friends is getting married. So,
when's your next show?
Our next show is Saturday night, and that will be in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. But then after that, we have 6 weeks of shows until we make our way back to Central New York to be at the Turning Stone on December 18th and 19th.
It's been over a year,
It's been over a year. We were there in October of last year, so 2014. Wow. And now here we are coming to the show for December. And they added 2 shows. They added a second show because we sold out the showroom last year. And this year we're just going to do 2 and hopefully – I know it's not going to happen, but the reason we added the second one is because everyone always complains couldn't get tickets to the show. How you couldn't get tickets to the show with the Stanley when there's 3,000? Can't get tickets to the tourney. Well, you gotta be proactive, folks. If you're out there listening, you go, yeah, I'm going to go. Don't wait. Get them now because I've been on a media tour the last 2 days, and the box office called and said they're already going. So,
magician Leon Etienne with us on the Talk of the Town. I have one card trick I can do. That's it. Did you start doing card trick? How did you start doing this whole thing?
My very first trick was a card trick.
Yep.
I was 12 years old. I was grounded by my mother. I was bored out of my mind, so I started reading a magic book that an aunt had given me as a gift. And I learned the trick, and I left my room when I was grounded, which we know is a no-no. And my mom said, what are you doing out of your room? I said, hold on, I just want to show you this trick. And I showed her the trick. It was a simple trick where you take a card, you rip it in 4, you put it in an envelope, you snap your fingers, and then it's restored.
Wow.
And when she reacted to that, I was like, holy cow.
Did that get you out of being grounded?
No, well, maybe. I don't even remember. But what's funny is everyone's asked, what are you grounded for? And my mom can't remember. So it couldn't have been that bad.
How many tricks do you have now? You started off with one card trick. Like how big is your volume of gags and tricks and things like that?
You know what's funny is I have a 90-minute show called Magic Rocks, which we're doing at the Turning Stone, and I have variations of that show. And if I'm being completely honest, I've forgotten more card tricks and more tricks than I know. Because over the years, you just learn. And then once you narrow it down to a show that you're using all the time, you kind of, there's a difference. There's a saying between amateurs and professionals. An amateur performer learns new tricks to perform for the same audience. And a professional, like what we do, learns, no, I'm screwing this up. A professional does the same tricks for different audiences.
Gotcha.
So to make it all clear, amateurs perform new tricks for the same audience.
Right.
Professionals, same tricks for new audiences that really hone and come in and make it really powerful.
And
so,
being a professional, maybe we can indulge a little bit into what has happened on stage. Any kind of crazy scenarios where something didn't go well or didn't go right, and you laughed about it.
If you do this long enough, little things are going to happen no matter how much you prepare, no matter how good you are. It's just how you go with it. I remember the best thing that ever happened, probably for the audience, and it wasn't the best for me, is I used to do this manipulation act where I'd produce candles and wine glasses and stuff, and I had this flash paper in my pocket, and a spark from something I was doing over here jumped into my pocket, ignited the flash paper, so it went all the way up the side of my face, and I didn't know what was going on.
Great trick! There you go.
That's literally what happened. The audience was like, oh! And all I felt was this burning sensation up the side of my face, and luckily I wasn't hurt too bad, but
Do it again!
Yeah, if you could duplicate that every time, it'd be great. But that's another thing, though, is some of the best stuff happens by accident, and then you just try to find a way to make that happen every night.
Never split your pants or anything on stage?
No,
Sorry.
Nothing like that. Not that I can, I mean, I would remember that.
You need to practice dexterity, too. How important is handwork and hand-eye coordination and all that business, too?
Oh, extremely important. I mean, it's basically everything. Like, for instance, can you see the ring on my finger right now?
Yeah.
Watch, if I can get it off. When I let go, it'll jump right back up on the finger. Even if you loosen it first and then take it off,
Yeah.
It'll still balance right on the finger. So, yeah, I mean,
Right.
I used to, when I was younger, I used to practice, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 hours a day. But now, because we're working all the time and stuff, on a flight or whatever, I'll pull out a deck of cards and work on something new. And I'm very slowly learning that I'm going to build time into our yearly schedule to develop new stuff as well. Speaking of which, in December at the Turning Stone on the 18th and 19th of December, we are going to be doing the trick that we did on Penn and Teller Fool Us.
Nice.
That fooled Penn and Teller, so you can see that live.
Awesome.
And I've only done it once live, and that was in Rio at the Penn and Teller Theater, or in Vegas at the Rio at the Penn and Teller Theater. So this will be the first audience outside of Las Vegas to see it live, and we're going to do some other new stuff as well. And then, of course, I've learned this the hard way. When I come home and I don't do the staples that people saw me do when I was younger, they always come up and go, well, why didn't you do that? So those will be in there too, folks, as long as some new stuff. So if you've seen Magic Rocks before, if you've seen us at the Stanley or the Turning Stone, come on out. There'll be some of that stuff, but there will be some new stuff as well for you to enjoy.
Did you have a conversation with Teller? Did he speak any words to you at all?
So going back to when we shot the show in April, very excited because, first of all, you get cast, and you're like, all right, this is great. But then you're like, oh, but that means I have to try and fool Penn and Teller now. So then that hits you.
Right.
And I didn't know what I was going to do. So anyway, thank God it worked out. We fooled them. We're walking off stage. I'm very excited. Rami's right behind me, and I'm waiting for the big, yeah, because we've done this on other shows. And nothing. She's just giving me nothing. I go, what's wrong? I go, we just did it. We won. And she goes, Teller just talked to me.
Wow.
Now, this is someone who's in the industry and has been there, and she's shocked by it. So imagine what a real person would be. And then fast forward to 2 weeks ago when we were in Vegas doing this. After the show, we hung out with him in his dressing room for 3 or 4 hours just talking about magic. He does talk, folks. It's pure theater. He's a very highly educated, very smart man. In his spare time, he directs musical theater on Broadway and in Chicago, and he was just about to fly out to do The Tempest in New York or in Chicago, which he did all the magic effects for.
Wow.
And if you know that show at all, it's very highly. It can be, and he took in a whole creative direction. So he looks at his watch at one point. We're in the dressing room in Vegas. He goes, it's 2 a.m. and the show ended at 10. He goes, I should probably go. I have a flight to Chicago in 3 hours. So I was like, yes, Mr. Teller, you can go. Yes.
Does he have a normal voice, or it's not like Mike Tyson or anything?
No, that'd be funny. That would be funny. No, very normal voice, very soft-spoken, very eloquent. He's a very highly educated, smart man.
Any other star you've run into along the way that you were kind of starstruck yourself as you've been traveling around, doing Vegas shows, things like that?
Well, you've been on America's Got Talent. You did Penn and Teller's Fool Us and Wizard Wars.
Wizard Wars, yeah. I mean, we've done so many shows with Penn and Teller now. Now I just feel like we're kind of buddies.
Right.
But you know what? Yeah, I mean, being on AGT was incredible. I remember the first time being in the elevator with Heidi Klum going up. That was great. And we would do these promos afterwards for, I think the sponsor was Orville Redenbacher at that point. And we'd just film these things. And you're standing next to a supermodel.
Was Rami with you?
Yeah, Rami's right next to me. Right next to me. But, hey, I had a free pass at that point. I mean, that's kind of like one of those unattainable things. So, yeah, it was that was great. I mean, just working around. The one thing I've learned, and I don't know how this is going to sound, is if you act like you've been there before, even though on the inside you are freaking out and having the time of your life, then they'll act normal too. Whereas if you start becoming, that person that's on the street and hasn't been there before, then they shut off very quickly.
It's interesting. I used to tell my friends, wear a tie and a suit and you walk right in.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a true story. I mean, I read an article years ago about a young magician in Asia who, even though he couldn't afford it, bought a 3-piece Armani suit and would get these meetings with these high-powered businessmen just because he looked like he knew what he was doing, when in reality he didn't know anything or have anything, but he worked his way up.
That's our Dave and our idea behind magic. We're going to pretend we know what we're doing. We do that on the radio every day.
But at some point you're going to have to perform with magic. Yeah.
Sure. Leon, thanks for coming in. Best
Thank
of luck.
you guys for having me.
Can't wait to see you at the Turning Stone in December.
December 18th and 19th.
Yep, 361 show for tickets or all Ticketmaster outlets.
Great. Would you do an ID for our show? Just say who you are and just say Talk of the Town, you're listening to or whatever. Go ahead.
This is Leon Etienne, America's rock illusionist, and you're listening to 100.7 FM, WUTQ, and Talk of the Town.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Perfect.